How does a narcissist slowly turn someone into a puppet? The descent into the marionette's trap, the silent mechanics of narcissistic control. You know, it doesn't happen with obvious threats. If it did, your survival instincts would instantly kick in and you'd run for the hills. Instead, it happens in the really quiet moments. It's a system of psychological control with zero obvious force. It's a method of emotional manipulation so incredibly gradual, you literally don't even realize the air in the room is getting thin. It conditions you to doubt your own mind, completely abandon your boundaries, and slowly, willingly, hand over the strings of your own life. You don't lose yourself all at once. It's a gradual loss of self-trust, piece by carefully dismantled piece.
Part 1. Attaching the invisible strings. The silent capture.
Okay, let's dive into this. Before a manipulator can truly control you, they have to secure you, right? They have to make absolutely sure you won't just walk away when the mask finally slips. So they start with the idealization or love bombing cycle. Imagine meeting someone who instantly makes you feel like the absolute center of the universe. You're swept off your feet, showered with intense affection, excessive flattery, and this rush of intimacy that feels, well, like destiny. But here's the thing, this isn't true connection. It's a tactical move. It's an attempt to fast-track emotional closeness and completely overwhelm your natural defenses. Once they feel secure in your attachment, bam, the dynamic suddenly shifts to devaluation. That warmth you relied on, it fades. The hyper-focus turns into these subtle, cutting criticisms. And finally, there's the discard, or at least the constant looming threat of it, which keeps you totally off balance. They've attached the strings and now they're ready to give them a yank.
Part 2. Shifting reality and blame. The tingling of reality.
So once those strings are attached, the whole environment changes. The abuser deliberately destabilizes your reality, throwing you into this suffocating fog of constant self-doubt. You know something is wrong. You feel the sting of their words or actions, but when you try to point to it, it just vanishes. Look at this dynamic right here. You express that you're hurt, but instead of actually addressing the impact of what they did, they shift the focus entirely to their alleged intent. They say, I didn't mean to hurt you. It gives the manipulator perfect cover. We call this plausible deniability. And it sounds believable, right? Because you desperately want to believe this person you love isn't hurting you on purpose. But by hyper-focusing on this technicality, your pain gets totally dismissed, and they completely avoid accountability. You actually leave the conversation feeling like you're the one in the wrong for even bringing it up. Now, what's really interesting about this is how these exact everyday phrases are weaponized to shift blame and just trivialize your reality. I didn't say that. You're too sensitive. You're overreacting. This is classic gaslighting, totally stripped of all the clinical jargon, playing out right in your living room. They directly counter your memory. They make you reach for words to explain a deeply hurt feeling, all while they sit there staying completely cold and detached. And what this does over time is incredibly damaging. It literally teaches you to hesitate before you speak. It slows down your reactions and keeps you trapped in your own head, endlessly double-checking your own sanity while they get to walk away untouched. They actively scramble your certainty using a few specific tactics. First, moving the goalposts. They tell you to jump 3 feet, and when you do, they claim they said 5. Nothing is ever right. Then there's tone policing. You bring up a totally valid concern, and suddenly the issue isn't what they did, but how you said it. You had an attitude. You were too aggressive. So what do? You soften your words, you adjust yourself, and your original point is entirely lost. And then strategic ambiguity. They keep plans and promises just vague enough so you can never actually pin them down, leaving them the perfect wiggle room to say, oh, you just misunderstood. It's an exhausting double bind. If you've ever felt completely and utterly drained after a simple conversation, this scrambling of certainty is exactly why. It is fundamentally designed to exhaust you.
Part 3. The weapon of silence. Pulling the strings. But what happens when the words stop entirely? We are moving into deeply intense territory here. This is perhaps the most chilling method of emotional control out there, the silent treatment. Just empty space. The energy in the room completely shifts. Responses are cold, clipped, quick. There's no eye contact, just this sudden, punishing distance with absolutely zero explanation. For the victim, this empty space is deafening. It creates a visceral, physical tension right in the center of your chest. This isn't just someone needing a little space to cool off. It is a highly calculated punishment. Your nervous system is immediately shot. You start frantically scanning your memory. What on earth did I do? You obsessively read their body language, searching for just a single clue. Because you've been conditioned to fix things and be the caretaker, this silent emotional dependency forces you to completely abandon your own boundaries. You reach out. You end up apologizing for things you didn't even do, just to initiate a repair that wasn't your responsibility to begin with. And the silence? It will stay right in place until you do exactly what they want. Desperately chase their approval just to survive that awful tension.
Part 4. Fear, Obligation, and Guilt. The FOG method.
And that brings us to the heavy machinery of covert manipulation. This is where your own good nature, your own empathy is weaponized and used directly against you. We call this the FOG method: fear, obligation, and guilt. So the crucial point is how this tactic completely flips the script in a relationship. A manipulator will explicitly exploit your sense of responsibility. You might raise a completely valid complaint about their behavior, and through this masterful use of fear and guilt, you somehow find yourself apologizing to them by the end of the conversation. It creates a literal fog in your mind, completely blinding you to the abuse. These aren't exaggerations. These are the actual gut punch statements used to anchor the immense emotional weight of guilt manipulation. I will kill myself if you ever leave. That instills absolute terror and a paralyzing sense of obligation. It locks you right in place. Or, after everything I've done for you. That pulls the ultimate debt card, attacking your core character and forcing you immediately onto the defensive. They play the victim to force you to prove your loyalty, even when they are the ones who just broke your trust. It's this masterful deflection that keeps them in total control while making you feel like the villain. And this brilliantly, tragically, illustrates the ultimate breaking point. Out of sheer exasperation, the victim finally begs for the script. Please, just tell me what to say and I will do it. You just want the anger and the mind games to end. You can't figure out the rules because, well, the rules are rigged. You are completely exhausted, asking for the right answers to a test that is fundamentally designed for you to fail. This marks the moment of total surrender. The strings are fully attached. You've stopped fighting back. You have become the puppet.
Part 5. The Illusion of Choice. The Final Trap.
The ultimate trick of narcissistic control isn't just making you compliant. It's rewriting your core identity. This is how the trap locks shut. Through relentless gaslighting, they convince you that you are fundamentally flawed, that you're too sensitive, a handful, chaotic, crazy. You actually start to believe all the bad stuff. And then comes the twisted conditional love. But you're lucky I love you anyway. I have an appetite for crazy. They act like they're doing you this massive favor just by putting up with you. It finalizes the complete and utter loss of your self-trust. You truly start to feel like no one else would ever tolerate you, and you become entirely dependent on their warped validation. Once that internal noise gets loud enough, you simply stop looking inward. You can't trust your own memory anymore. You can't trust your own feelings. You literally can't trust your own perception of reality. You rely solely on the manipulator to define what is true and what is false. You are moving cleanly in their decisions, not your own. You have handed over the steering wheel of your own life simply because you've been fully convinced that you don't know how to drive. It's a terrifying place to be, because true psychological dominance doesn't look like a prison. The most dangerous control is the one that makes you believe you are choosing it yourself.